And today we are going to have something like 3 webinars in the month of September. Now, today's presentation will be made by Dr. Rup Kishore Garg, who is from India and expert, globe expert, and a retired professor of ecology from Rajasthan University. He is going to make the presentation. I take only a few seconds, few minutes to talk to you. Now, this year is going to be a new GIO. This GIO is going to be very different. Okay. We are going to have a new GIO and also quite a new developments that is there, that is going to happen in the globe. The RCO is going to continue at least for 1 year, and we are having quite a number of activities which we have planned. Like in the month of November, and November 24 to 28, hopefully we are going to have expedition to the sea, for which we have already sent you the details, and almost our seats are confirmed. Because we are going to have around 25 participants, including teachers and the students. And after that, we have another activity, which is students exchange program that is in Hanoi. She is the country coordinator in Vietnam. She is going to host in the first week of June. That will be another activity which we will be planning. And also we are going to have our regional meeting in the month of April in Christchurch in New Zealand. Now GIO wants us only the active country coordinators to be invited, and only those who will be paid, which who have been participating in many of the activities. And that is something which we can discuss after the presentation from Dr. Garg. Globe is going to complete 30 years. So we are going to celebrate 30 years of Globe. That is in July, hopefully in Washington, DC, in US, where the participants who want to join, let's start preparing for your visa. Because some countries, it takes long time for the visa. And we suggest you can take this activity starting visa application for your visit to the 30th in Washington, DC in July. So these are a couple of the activities which RCO we are planning this year. And we can discuss all this after the presentation of Dr. Garg. Dr. Garg, I want to hand over to you. So you can start around 45 minutes. You have, I know you, yeah. Dr. Garg, you take around 45 minutes. And after that, we take around 15 minutes of discussion. And then we will plan for another webinar next time. Because one of the I have made to Professor Paliam regarding the presentation by the student from his Globe School in Taiwan in the microplastic in the soil. Maybe I will send you the details for that. And may you hand over to you. And also we can see we have already 50 participants, they have joined. And 90 participants has registered for this webinar, and hope others will join. So to you, Dr. Garg. Okay.
Thank you. Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Deshbandhu, and thanks to everyone who have joined the today's this meeting. As we know that we are going to have a session on soils in the school campaign. The first question which should come in our mind is, what is a soil? As we all know, soil is very much biologically active. Why it is biologically active? Because there are large number of microorganisms as well as macroorganisms which are present in the soil. Besides all the plant parts, especially the roots and the underground parts of the plants which are present in the soil. So we can call that whenever there is a biological activity, all of them are related and interrelated with each other, including atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the biosphere, as well as the pedosphere, that is soil. All of them grow. This soil provides a medium for the plant growth, and that's why soil is a kind of medium which is a porous. It is not a solid one. And of course, it is, of course, a uppermost layer of the earth crust and a natural medium for the growth of all the land plants which are growing on the earth as a land plants and not the water plants. Next, please. So the agenda for the seminar today is, what is soil science? Soil science is a kind of study where soil we treat as a natural resource, in which we study the formation of soil, the mapping of the soil, the physical, chemical, biological activities of the soil, their properties of the soil, the classifications of the soil, and ultimate our goal is that we should know and understand the soil fertility, because that provides the livelihood to the human beings. So whenever we study any kind of the branch, then the many integrates are there. It is a interdisciplinary field to study the soil science, where a little knowledge or a good knowledge of geology, chemistry, biology, environmental sciences, the animals, the animals which are burrowing animals, etc., are taken care of, so that all the properties and processes which are present in the different discipline, they are interrelated and they can be integrated. Now, why we want to study soil? Soil is a very important foundation for the terrestrial ecosystem. It provides the support as well as nutrients to the plants, and plants being primary producers, they form the base of almost all the food chains of the world. At the same time, the soil filters water. Whatever the water comes from the natural resources, they actually it filters the water. Like purify water from the different, when the water is going through the different layers, and of course it supports the plant life and the groundwater supplies. Very important here is the carbon storage. Soil stores carbon more than whatever the carbon is present in the vegetation, in the atmosphere, and in any other form. It stores more carbon, maybe in the form of some what you call as a carbon cycle. And it, of course, when it is there, when the carbon dioxide is not present in the atmosphere, in the environment, in the form of CO2, then it, of course, affects the climate change and the global warming. It provides, of course, the habitat to different organisms, including bacteria, the fungi, the insect, earthworms, the rodents, the many kind of this what you call as a snakes and turtles and others. So it is a habitat to many different kind of the organisms. Then they also support the human activities. Soil support agriculture, forestry, and other human activities, which provide a live material or a raw material for maintaining the productivity of the ecosystems. Next, please. Next. Hello. Next.
It's on the next slide, important.
Now, importance of the soil in ecosystem. The ecosystem has many aspects. One is the nutrient supply. Another is encourage of the roots for the bigger as well as smaller plants. And then, of course, the water retention. All these three aspects, they support plant growth. So for the plant growth, nutrient supply, encourage of the roots, as well as the water retention, etc., is present in the soil. Water infiltration, that means it acts as a natural filter, very important. When the water percolates through the different layers of the soil, then it is actually it removes the pollutants, the contaminants, the pathogens, and thus the clean water reaches to the soil. So water cycle regulation, also soil plays a crucial role in the water cycle. Next, please. Now, importance of the soil in ecosystem. Very important is carbon storage, as we have already talked about it, that all the organic matter. Now, organic matter includes the leaves which come out from the plants, the twigs, the fruits, other falling materials, we can call it as a litter, or the excretory materials which is actually contributed by the animal species. All these and dead organic matter, etc., they all form the organic matter. And the carbon present in those all organic matters, they form a type of carbon sink in the soil. And that's why they help in mitigating the climate change by reducing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Similarly, in soil, there are large number of the microorganisms, including many kind of the decaying bacteria, which of course act on the organic matter, break them into simpler carbon dioxide, and they release nutrients and other kind of the gases. Thus, the healthy balance between the gases in the ecosystem and their stability remains intact, and there is a continuous recycling process which goes on. Soil also provides a biodiversity to the different kind of the organisms, including earthworms, insects, fungi, bacteria, etc., and thus they play an important role in nutrient cycling and maintenance of the soil structure, as well as the decomposition of the organic matter. There are many kind of microorganisms, including mycorrhiza or maybe nitrogen fixing bacteria or rhizobium or different kind of organisms, which of course have a symbiotic relationship with the soil organisms, and thus the nutrient uptake and their release is actually enhanced, and thus it provides a kind of resistance towards the diseases which may spread in the plants as well in the ecosystems. Next, please. So now we talk about the GLOBE program. As we all know, GLOBE is a global learning and observations to benefit the environment. It is a kind of international science education program which connects the students, teachers, scientists all over the world. It was established in 1994, as Dr. Deshbandhu just now referred, that we are going to have the 30 years of the GLOBE, and it promotes the hands-on environmental learning as well as scientific data collection, and in which the communities, research institutes, and of course the educational institutions, especially schools, they play very, very important role. Now, GLOBE is actually spread over 127 countries. So there is a very, very, very vast network of the students, teachers, educators, citizen scientists, and of course, the scientists sitting in the NASA and the GLOBE head office, where they all study about the different aspects of the environment, including atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, pedosphere. Pedosphere here means soil. We all know that the study of soil scientifically is called the pedology. Now, mission of the GLOBE. Next, please. Mission of the GLOBE is to promote environmental education, where the focus is on the environment, and of course, the whole program is about the environmental literacy worldwide to the students as well as to the educators, and in which the real world scientific research is done, and in which we involve the different communities which are a part of the GLOBE program. This curriculum of the GLOBE program is such a fashion, has been designed in such a fashion that it fosters the generation of informed and responsible global citizens. So our aim is to have the responsible citizens in the whole globe. It is, of course, a hand-on learning activity kind of the program, in which the students collect the data, they analyze the data, they participate in scientific research, they contribute to the GLOBE database, and of course, the students enhance the understanding of the environmental issues and build their own analytical skills as well as their own thinking. By collection of the data, the citizen scientists as well as students, they can exchange the data. They can use the data of the other country. They can use the data which are, of course, available on the GLOBE website. They can use the data which are collected by other school or other students. And thus, they can understand and study and can address the different environmental issues which are currently faced by the human beings. Thus, the global database which are submitted by the different participants throughout the world, it serves as a very, very valuable resource, not only for the students, but for the policymakers, for educators, for researchers, and this will help us in developing the strategies for the sustainable development. Next, please. Connecting the globe with the whole globe community, in which there is a networking of the program. There is a cross-cultural exchange, very important. Cross-cultural exchange means the students and the schools, which are, of course, from the maybe from different regions of the world, the European students and the Asian students and the people from the Arabian countries or the students from the African countries, they all have a cross-cultural exchange in which they share their findings, they compare their data, they learn from the different environmental conditions, and they talk and of course understand the world and the science and the environmental science through their peer groups. Now, this data, which are actually collected, they have very, very important aspect in understanding the different aspects of the environment. Now, these data, which are of course collected by Asia Pacific Soil in School campaign. So there is a campaign in Asia Pacific region where the students of Asia Pacific schools, they will understand and of course find the different aspects of the environment, including the soil. They will participate in contributing the global database, as well as they will get a deeper knowledge and understanding about the soil science and its role in the ecosystem. This will empower our students and citizen scientists to share and analyze, collect their data, contribute to the globe research, and become an advocates for the environmental stewardship and the communities. Next, please. Now, what is a pedosphere? What is a soil science? It is a set of the guidelines in which the students, teachers, citizen scientists, they will study, they will analyze, they will understand, they by a definite standardized process about the different properties of the soil. Thus, this protocol is actually a focus on the physical, chemical, biological, and characteristics of the soil. Thus, a comprehensive framework for soil investigations is given in a guidelines procedures developed by the GLOBE program. Now, the most important point is that this will deepen the understanding of the soil science, how to observe, what to measure, how to document the different soil properties, and thus promote the scientific literacy, as well as appreciation of the complex structure within the soil ecosystem. Next, please. Now, the soil protocols which we generally study in GLOBE is composition of the soil, recording the temperature of the soil moisture, the soil pH, the soil structure. When we talk about composition, we mean the percentage of sand, silt, and clay which is present at a particular place in a soil sample. We can call it as a soil texture. Similarly, we record the temperature at different depths to understand the influence of biological activities which are going on within the soil by different microorganisms, and of course by respiring plant roots. Similarly, the monitoring of the soil moisture also plays a very important aspect, especially the availability of the moisture to the plants, to the different organisms which are present in the soil, as well as its role in the water cycle. Determination of the alkalinity as well as the acidity in the soil and how they can help in providing nutrients to the plant growth is also very important. Soil structure then, of course, tells us about the different kind of the aggregates, which will, of course, influence the water retention, root penetration, air circulation, etc., etc. And of course, all these will provide us the information about the nutrients which are present in soil. Now, another very important aspect is that whenever we study soil, we follow certain protocols, and when we follow protocols, then we contribute to the global database maintained by the Globe program. This database is invaluable for the environmental trends, understanding the soil ecosystem, understanding the different scientific research which are related with the globe and which are related with the scientists all over the world. And of course, it provides a global scale for the research. Now, there are definite standard procedures for collection of the data and for observation. So, all these have been standardized, and so that one collecting the data at one place, maybe in one country, say maybe in Thailand or maybe in Philippines, in Asia Pacific region, can be compared with the same data collected in Europe or Australia or of course in Nigeria, etc., provided that there is a standard procedure of collection of the data and standardization of the observations of the data. And that's why the standardized data collection plays an important role in GLOBE program. Next, please. Now, the protocol in GLOBE is, of course, a step-by-step procedure in which the instruction for each step has been given very clearly so that the soil analysis is done or study is done by a correct method of investigation. It includes guidelines on how the sampling is done, how the sampling site is selected, how properly the data can be collected, and how different measurements are being taken. The tools and equipments which participants will use for soil analysis are also characterized, and the thermometers are prescribed. pH kit is also prescribed. Moisture sensors are there. Sieves and their particle size analysis is there, and also covers to record in a proper manner. This will enable the students as well as, of course, the teachers and educators that how the hands-on learning can be done, how they can be practically do it in the field, what should be the methodology in the field, and this will enhance the understanding of the soil properties and its importance. Similarly, the real world science is done when you participate in soil investigation. Students actually contribute in not only the data collection, but also at the same time, there is a clear-cut understanding of the students about the soil and its different aspects. It will also help us and the policymakers and the scientists that how the soil health can be maintained over long period of time across the different regions of the world. We all know that this year the World Environment Day theme was land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. So land restoration means how the soil health can be maintained even when so many agricultural and different kind of activities are going on. So it actually a real world science is done when we study the soil. Of course, environmental stewardship is very important, where we highlight the importance of soil conservation, because soil can be destroyed, soil can be eroded. So students learn what kind of methodology one must use to sustain the life in the soil. and what kind of action one should undertake so that the soil health and restoration of the land resource is being done. Next, please. Now, soil composition. Soil consists of many different kind of things. It includes, of course, the mineral particles, that is the minerals which are actually coming from the parental rocks, by which the withering of the rocks has resulted into the different shape and different size particles. So these mineral particles are there. Then, of course, there is the organic matter. When the mineral, organic matter, and air, etc., they together are there, then actually it is a generation of the soil. We call it as a pedogenesis. So that makes soil. If we take a rock and we crush it and make a fine powder of it, it is not soil until unless it has organic matter, it has roots, it has water, it has water retaining capacity, it has of course air inside it. Until unless it is not there, and it is how they are complex so that they can support the plant life, they can regulate the water flow, they can provide the habitat for the different kind of the organisms, then only it is a soil. So soil consists of organic matter, water, air, and many minerals, particles which have come from the parent rock. So these four mineral particles, organic matter, water, and air, these four together, they are the part of the soil composition. Next, please. Now, this composition helps in supporting the plant growth. It is the balance of the soil particles, organic matter, water, air will determine how it can support the plant life. Of course, the water availability, the penetration of the roots, the nutrient uptake, the presence of the air, so that the roots which are live, root hairs are continuously breathing, they are respiring, they are exchanging the gases. So the air is equally important for the healthy plant growth. Water infiltration and nutrient cycling, ecosystem habitat, all these will provide a healthy soil. So the soil composition should provide proper organic matter, mineral particles, water inside the soil, air in the soil, as well as the different kind of the soil organisms. These together are a type, provides us the value about the composition of the soil. Next, please. So the soil composition include measurements of next please. Soil composition includes measurement of soil particles, that means the particle size, measurement of the soil texture. When we talk about the particle size and their composition of the size of the particles, then of course it provides us the insight into the soil texture. This soil texture actually tells us about the water movement, the nutrient availability, as well as the growth of the roots inside the soil. Similarly, soil moisture and air content also help us, students as well as teachers, to understand the healthy plant growth and activities of the different kind of the organisms which are present in them. So it is of course a hands-on learning about the soil composition, and we contribute to the data for the scientific research and monitor about the environmental changes which are going on about the space and time. As the time passes, there is a possibility to have the changes in the soil composition, as well as the water availability, as well as water percolation, as well as the air which is available inside the soil. So we have to establish a basic understanding about the soil composition and, of course, the ecosystem. This will help us in understanding the nutrient cycle. It will help us in understanding the agricultural productivity, the productivity of grasslands, the productivity of the forest, the productivity of different kind of the agricultural ecosystems, and this will form the foundation of our further study. Next, please. Next. So soil characterization help us in describing and analyzing the soil as a part of the earth system. It will identify and help us to explain the role of soil in exchanging matter and transferring the energy with atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere. So all the four spheres, that is atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and of course the pedosphere, all these, they exchange and transfer the energy among each other. So soil characterization measurements include supporting the interpretation of soil moisture, temperature, the land cover, and atmospheric measurements. It will help us in extending our knowledge about the mapping of the land cover. We can thus develop the soil maps of a small area or a big region or the whole country or the whole area. And of course, we can make the on the basis of this information, we can have a computer modeling about the soil science and soil availability, the nutrient cycling, and of course the microorganisms which are present in our soil. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah. So whenever we talk about soil moisture, the study site, generally when we study with the help of students and the teachers, the site should be located anywhere where we can safely expose the soil profile. And it is always useful to have a site of your soil moisture and temperature study site within your land cover study area. The place where we have the study of the land cover, that means biological cover, that means the plants and the trees and other species which are growing, there only we generally study the soil moisture. And whenever we study the soil moisture, a star pattern way is taken into consideration so that we can study the soil moisture, taking sampling from different places in a star-shaped manner. Whatever tools we will require, next please. Tools include, of course, spray bottle, golf tees, or maybe nails, or maybe any kind of the marker which we can very easily identify to mark the different horizons. Soil color book we use for knowing the color of the soil. Then pencil, pen, marking pen, etc. needed. Paper towels are needed. Trowel, shovel, or other kind of the any digging device is needed. Meter, scale, or tap for measurement of the depth of the soil. Then we need plastic mugs. Then we need camera to photograph all the aspects of the study. Of course, you have to wear the gloves so that your hands are not damaged. Then we need a bottle in which vinegar is filled, a small hammer, 2 mm mesh opening tube, this what you call sieve is needed, sheet or the paper plates, white paper it should be, and of course the globe site definition sheet, etc. will be needed. Next, please. Characters of different soil horizons at different depth. Now we have to determine how water is stored within the soil on the surface at a depth of 5 or 10 centimeter at the greater depth. So how the water moves through the soil, one can understand. We have to understand and characterize and indicate the suitability for categories of the land use, whether there is adequate drainage in the soil or not. If in a soil there is more silt and there is more clay, there is a possibility that the water percolation is of course hindered. If there is a more sand percentage in the soil, the percolation as well will be very quick water at the rooting zone of the trees. So all these are very important. So we also try to know what kind of the plants can grow in such a kind of soil where the availability of moisture, the availability of nutrients is of this kind. Reveal the history of the past climates, as well as human settlements can be known if you go and dig in the soil and study the different soil horizons. Maybe that 200 years back, there was a civilization. Maybe that 100 years back, there was a fire or a forest fire in this area. All these past histories can be known. It, of course, will influence the local ecology. What kind of plants, what kind of microorganisms, what kind of the soil fungi, what kind of the soil algae, what kind of the annelids or the rodents or the snakes or the other kind of animals can live very easily in this soil can be determined by characterization and study of the different soil horizons. Next, please. Next. Now we follow the instructions as has been given in the globe book for selection, for exposing, for defining the soil characterization, and the clear-cut apply instructions are there for an exposed soil profile site. One can very easily go to a place where road has been cut or where erosion has been there, so that the soil study. Another method of study is that you and one can of the soil. Then there is a third method which is very easy, and that is called a auger method, in which we bring out the soil starting from the top to the different profiles, and we sheet, and then we can study the soil easily. Next, please. Now, in the soil, horizon should understand the different layers. Now, how we can understand the different layers? We can, by physically seeing, understand the different layers that is profile A or A0 or A1 or A2 or B or B others, one can see by different colors, because the organic matter which is present on the highest, that means zero side, that is on the top of the soil, may slowly decay and change the color of the soil. So as we go to different horizons, we can understand the soil composition, the soil texture, the color and its changes, the structure, etc., etc. And this kind of study of the horizons, we call it as a soil profile. Thus, the soil profile is a series of soil layers which is present below the soil surface and that have certain properties, because it will tell us how the soil was formed. And if we see the different forms of the soil, how they looking them closely can tell us about the story of the soil and its past. Next, please. How to identify the soil horizon? We start, of course, from the top. We look at the different layers, look at the different colors, we look at the different shapes, we look about the roots which are present in there, the size of the rocks and the amount of the rocks, and of course the size of the nodules, etc., etc., the worms or the microorganisms or the small animals or the insects or the worms which are present, whether the worms have formed certain channels or not. All these things we have to study when we study the soil horizons or the soil different layers or the soil profile. We identify the different layers right from the top to the bottom, and we try to see the different kind of the changes that has appeared in the soil. Soil must be at least 3 millimeters thick to consider a kind of horizon. If you see less than 3 centimeter thick soil, it make the different observations. Next, please. So we identify the different horizons. We identify the first horizon, one you can see here, the first horizon, the third horizon, first horizon, the second horizon, the third horizon, and the different kind of the horizons one can see, and one can identify, and one can see the difference in the color of the horizon, as well as the difference in the what you call the pebbles, and of course the parental material which is present here. You can see the color at the bottom is quite different from the color in the center and the color at the top. So one can identify in this way. One should go to study the soil layers. A pit which is generally more than 1 meter deep, so that one can understand all the aspects of the soil horizons. Now we can photograph the, next please, we can photograph the profile with a meter scale. We put a meter scale so that the soil depth can be measured easily and horizon depths can be measured. And be sure that you have a sunshine so that the meter scale, its centimeters and millimeters are actually visible easily, as well as the difference in the color can be, of course, identified. Next, please. Agar profile, as I told you, we use many times. We do not have a pit, we do not have enough time to dig a pit, or we do not have any road construction area nearby. Then near the school or near our study site or near the site of the soil cover or the plant cover, we use the auger method. in which the agar is inserted inside the soil is brought out, and of course it is reconstructed on a small paper or a very big area, and we try to reconstruct it. So here one can see that we have reconstructed the site, and of course here at different places one can see the T we have put, and the color one can see difference. Here the color is different, here the color is different, here the color is different. So one can see the different color and different horizons. Then in each horizon, we have to identify the soil structure. Now, what is a soil structure? It actually, soil structure provides us what kind of the shape the soil aggregate and its particles are having. So we of course try to understand the different kind of the structure of the soil, and whether inside the soil, in this structure, air can flow or not, water can percolate or not, and water can go to the deep regions of the roots or not. So we try to, next please, next. Yeah, next. Yes, here one can see different kind of the shapes of the soil. And this shape is of course based on the water, air flow, as well as the size of the particles. So the soil can be granular, as you can see here. It can be a blocky where big blocks are there. It can be massive. It can be a single grained soil. All the grains, if it is a simple one, all the grains of the soil. The soil can be prismatic. It can be columnar, or it can be pretty, as we can see here. Now, when we were talking about the soil composition. We talked about that how the mineral content and the water and the air is present in a soil. A good soil, most arable, most suitable for the plant growth, most suitable for the agriculture. Next, please, next. Is a arable soil in which 45% is, of course, the minerals or the parent material. 5% is the organic matter. In general, 25% is air and 25% is water. Now, when we examine a small pad of the soil, we take in the hand. So, we take a small part or clump of the soil, we can call it as a soil pad, and we try to understand the structure of the soil by looking at the pad. So if we can use the trowel or digging device and take a pad from different horizon, and we can try to examine it. When we take the pad in our hand, we take it between our two fingers and a thumb, and we try to examine it. And we try to examine whether the soil is a granular or a blocky, or what kind of the soil it is. So one can very easily take a pad out and try to understand what kind of soil it is. Next, please. Next. Of course, granular blocky soil. Next. Next. It is a platy, or it is a blocky, or it is a single grain. All this is done. Now, analyzing all these soil data, we analyze these soil data. Next, please. Yeah. We analyze all these soil data to understand the relationship between the different soil properties and their impact on the environment. This process helps students to transform the raw data into meaningful conclusions and thus can help in the scientific research. All these data which are collected in a globe community, and students should also learn how to enter the data on the globe side and how to send it to the globe, and how to different kind of they can be shared, like pH, moisture, temperature, texture, origin, different depths, etc., 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 can be sent. Next, please. Now, these globe data can be visualized by all of them. They can be created, they can be used to form the different graphs, chart, maps, etc., etc. One can compare the data globally, locally, by within the school, within a city, within a country, within a particular geographical this area, and then of course the geographical analysis and statistical analysis is done for the soil temperature and how these variables are there and whether these variables are within the limit or they are not. So all these data are analyzed by different methodology, including the graphical representations as well as the statistical analysis. Next, please. Now, once the analysis, etc., has been done, then certain conclusions are drawn. For example, in a schoolyard, whether the soil moisture is consistently all right, or they need to have more shade, vegetation cover, etc., etc., in the soil or over the soil. And we can understand the different factors like weather, human activities, topography of the area, and how these all, whether or the human activities or the anthropogenic activities, are influencing the soil moisture, the soil pH, the soil vegetation cover, the shade of the soil, etc., etc. So this will help us in understanding the health of local ecosystem as well as how the agricultural productivity or the productivity of the forest or the composition of the natural growing vegetation is changing over time and space. Next, please. These data analysis. Next. Next, please. Next. Yes. These are actually shared, findings are actually shared within the community, the student group, and of course, a comprehensive conclusions then can be drawn. Students as well as teachers and the educators many times face certain difficulty in providing valuable insight, especially regarding the data analysis. In that case, the mentors can be contacted and they can help us explanation the results. Now, encourage the students to use different kind of methodology of presentation like charts, graphs, maps, so that the visual narrative of our findings can be very easily seen and you can come to a conclusion very easily. Next, please. Analyzing soil data. Of course, data sharing is within the global communities. Representation of the results, we can encourage the students to present their findings in a proper way. Their findings can be in the form of research report, a poster, a graph, a polygraph, or any other kind of the ecosystem dynamics. And then real world application, how we can use these data in decision making and help us in contributing to the scientific research. Next, please. Now, what is a environmental soil kickoff? Kickoff for the students of the Asia Pacific region. So here, soil in school campaign is actually a kind of understanding. It will unearth the secrets of the soil for the students of all the countries of the Asia Pacific region. It will help us in understanding, engaging students, teachers, etc. for study as well as for preservation of soil, the properties of the soil, and to cultivate a deep understanding of the soil scientist or soil science. So the sustainability of the ecosystem to support life can be understood. Now, this soil is more than just a ground of our earth. It is a living ecosystem. It is a breathing ecosystem. Of course, present beneath our very which helps in storing the carbon and thus mitigation of the this climate change, and it also provide very diverse habitat as well as range of services to the different kind of the organisms which live inside the soil. Even many kind of the fruits, including the groundnut or the potatoes and the sweet potatoes and many different kind of our food, which is inside the soil, which is underground inside the soil. Thus, their health is also affected by the health of the soil. So the soil, next please. Soil in the school campaign includes, next, cultivating soil literacy, which is we are providing to the students so that they can understand the soil structure, composition, function, their pH, their temperature, etc., etc. Raising carbon cycle awareness among the schools and the schools, teachers, and the students, so that the soil plays important role in carbon cycle. Mastering pedosphering protocols, you can become a very well versed by the different protocols of the globe, especially related with the pedosphere. We understand the different methodologies, the procedure, the protocol methods, the step-by-step methods, and we can understand the pedosphere protocols, etc. Increasing soil pollution awareness. Soil pollution is of course provided by presence of many contaminants, maybe xenobiotic, that means the human-made chemicals and alteration of the properties of the soil environment, by soil erosion, and many things. So we have to understand the pollution awareness. Encouraging globe database contribution. Activity includes collection of the data and database. Thus, we can understand the database as well as soil impact on the whole ecosystem. And of course, promoting environmental stewardship. That means we should develop a sense of fostership, responsibility, environmental understanding, nurturing, that how next generation will use the soil as a very important vital resources only and only when our understanding to protect and preserve our soil is there. Next, please. So the students of the 7th to 12th classes, the teachers, the schools all over the Asia Pacific region, all the countries of the Asia Pacific region, they can participate in this Soil in School campaign kickoff program. This program has been initiated by the Globe Asia Pacific office with its headquarters in India, New Delhi. And we encourage the young individuals, educators, citizen scientists to understand the global environmental soil campaign and monitor the different aspects of it, and also understand the soil. Next, please. Who can participate? All the schools can participate. How they can participate? Soil in the School program or a campaign is a Asia Pacific region program where all the schools can participate by conducting the observation, by collecting different valuable data, by sharing their findings, and with the help of the Globe community, this can provide an excellent opportunity for students to encourage on hands-on scientific investigations by contributing to a broader understanding of soil health and ecological significance. Next, please. So how can we participate? We have to register ourselves on the Globe registration site, and then you have to make different kind of the observations. Make the observations of the pedosphere protocols like soil composition, texture, temperature, moisture, structure, or maybe about the pH and the other aspects. Collect the data, let the observations made, let the students make the observation with the help of the different kind of the instruments, including the moisture sensors, including using the soil augers, including the thermometers, and thus you can then upload these data on the website of the Globe. Next, please. Next. So one can share all these data within the community, within a larger data set group, which is used by the scientists and researchers all over the world, and an international collaboration is being done. And of course, this provides the students a kind of satisfaction and a sense of contribution that they have contributed for a very big global cause. We support resources. Participant schools will have the access to a range of support materials, including training sessions on using Globe pedosphere protocols, educational resources on soil science, mentorship opportunities from experienced Globe trainers, and of course, the schools can participate successfully in all these programs. Next, please. One can have an interactive and discussion program of question answer. Students can ask as many questions as they like, even when there is a live session, or even when they are sitting in their school classes, or they are observing something in the field. They can ask the question, they can write the question to the Globe scientists, to the Asia Pacific region, to the mentors, to the teachers, to the Globe trainers. And thus they can help each other, so that an interactive engagement program will help us in understanding more about soil science and pedology, and of course the program being run by the Asia Pacific region Globe program. Next, please. So we can have a full week soil observation week in which we can focus on specific soil observations, and schools can come with such a measurements and they can share their findings and data. Of course, we can have a interactive session on data analysis workshops and how to report, why to report, what should be the research projects, how the research project can be carried out. And this will help us encouragement of the participants to run this campaign successfully and help each other to grow and inspire and take a continuous action program for this. So upcoming events includes, of course, the report presentation, the soil observation, data analysis workshop, etc. And one can have a very big program on International or the World Soil Day of the 5th December. Yeah, if the time and the globe, Asia Pacific permits us, we can have a very big online program or offline program, whatever is possible, on the 5th of the December or nearer to that date. Thank you so much. Thank you for the patient hearing, and I'm thankful